Good morning. Radio host Mike Prendergast will be joining us, and we'll be talking about independent media.
Today, here on The Undercurrent. Could we have had a slower news week, Uncle Warren?
Yeah, it was pretty slow. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it was crazy this week. Lainey, anything exciting in your neck of the woods?
Things are actually fairly calm down here, although Uncle Willie Bragg's got some good news for us. It's been a wonderful day. The doctor gave him a good report yesterday, and he finally acquired 1,000 subscribers. Congratulations, Willie. You worked so hard. Thank you so much for letting us know about this and being such a great supporter of our work here. Much appreciated, friend.
Yeah, Willie had a show last night and celebrating his 1,000th, and he got his 1,000th during the show, and it was great. And I'm really proud of Willie. He does good work. He really does. And he really does. He's one of these cats. He comes from a good place. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we need. We need more people who come from good places that are trying to do things and not trying to line their pockets or, trying to, do something nefarious. He's just a real dude. And it's good to see him get a little success like that.
And a real good dude.
Yeah, really he's a real good dude. Yeah. Very good. Hey, we got Bill Tilford in the house. What's up, Bill? Good to see you. Good to see you. He was on last week with us talking about Venezuela. We got a CBC voter in the house. Good to see you as well. I'm sure more people will file in as the day progresses. So yeah, you said it right. This has been a hell of a week, especially the amount of deaths and the weird deaths that have been going on. You know what I mean? With the it just blew my mind with this one because I grew up as a kid, watching All in the Family.
Oh yeah,
right?
Which had a huge impact culturally, huge cultural impact.
And unfortunately, one of its stars was just murdered. And it's really sad too because this is not, and you would think it was for political reasons because he's such a political person, but this actually had nothing to do with politics at all. So let me do this real here. Here we go. Rob Reiner's friends speak out. Murder charges filed against his son Nick. So yes, Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner were killed this past Sunday. And their son, Nick Reiner, is being charged with murder, and the couple's Hollywood friends spoke out about their deaths. People that he's worked with in the past, Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Albert Brooks, Larry David, honored him as a master storyteller. And yeah, he's had some classic movies. Princess Bride,
A Few Good Men.
Yeah. Just Spinal Tap. Yeah. In fact, he was working on the sequel. I don't know I think they finished. I think they finished. I think they finished. They wrapped production on that, but
some people were even making some maybe too soon, but I think being a director, he would have found this funny. They were saying, did he ever touch the drum kit when he was making Spinal Tap?
Right.
This is, and it's one of the more it's incredibly tragic. You grew up watching All in the Family. I grew up watching All in the Family. It was an important cultural milestone, that show. And of course, Carroll O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker in real life, was a deeply decent man. He was a devout Roman Catholic, very much steeped in the Roman Catholic tradition, social justice tradition. He himself had a son who had drug issues and eventually did die as a result of his addiction. And Carroll O'Connor spent the last years of his life trying to get the Carroll O'Connor law passed that would allow, I believe it was I can't remember whether it was civil or criminal actions to be taken against drug dealers. But the parallels here are of course very, very sad. This was just, and then when you saw the how this became politicized with the orange guy in office, the King in Orange, his remarks. And then it was interesting watching James Woods, who is a conservative Hollywood actor who can be extremely obnoxious about his beliefs, but he actually came out fighting for Rob Reiner and said, they had maintained a friendship regardless of political activities. Uncle Bill Tilford says Spinal Tap 2 is in the theaters and worth watching. Thank you, Uncle Bill. It kind of shows where we're at with movies when we can't tell if something is on TV or in the theaters or what, but I look forward to seeing it.
It was just, we've had celebrities this year that have passed away from various illnesses or maybe, just, old age, because they, a lot of actors that we came up with. But to see, like, this kind of reminds me, it's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of what happened with Gene Hackman, right? With Gene Hackman, there was, it was just, you wouldn't think somebody like that was going to go out like that way, right? Yeah. And there was the same thing with Rob Reiner. I never had anything on my bingo card where it said his son was going to murder him and his wife. That's just, it's just one piece of what this world has become. Everything is not, stuff is starting to be not as shocking anymore because there's so much, it's proliferating so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the Gene Hackman thing was just extremely distressing. People do die like that. We just didn't expect that to be a Hollywood star. That we would have thought that they would have had caregivers who would be checking in on them for the very reason that you had somebody who was incapacitated. But and then to have this happen, it's really a sad day.
It really is.
It is really also very sad to see, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that was, we saw the divisiveness, and now we're seeing a so-called liberal, and it's fair, I think a fair assessment of who Rob Reiner was, his murder. And again, these are being politicized, although it is interesting to see how many people who are supposedly on the right, who are actually pushing back against things. It's that actually gives me a little bit of hope.
Right. And I think one thing we can take from this too is that, with drug addiction, there can be the chances of violence later, so it's always, if you know somebody that's going through drug addiction or something like that, please help them, give them love, let them know that they are loved, and convince them that they're loved. Because a lot of them, they're just like, I don't care anymore. Nobody gives a shit about me. More drugs. And I think if more people told each other how much they loved each other, and cared about them and want to do things for them, I think this might be a better place. But you know what? I'm a kind of a pie in the sky kind of guy, but I do like pie and I like skies. So, we got more murder for you. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Let's try this. Sorry about that.
Do you like Parmesan that smells like foot?
I have no idea what that means. I think that's some sort of code. I think we have Russians in the chat who are trying to send messages. Yeah, I seriously, I don't know what that means. Okay. I look at references like that and I go, sure, why not? So MIT professor shot, killed at his home in Boston. This was, what was this?
This is weird.
This was Monday night. So professor at MIT in Massachusetts that's what the M stands for, has been shot and killed at his home. Authorities said, Nuno F.G. Loureiro was found Monday night at his house in the upscale Boston suburb of Brookline. He was taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead yesterday. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office said. The DA's office said the homicide investigation is ongoing, and there's a guy right there. Authorities have investigated whether his death could be connected to this weekend's Brown University shooting. And at this point, a senior law enforcement official briefed on both cases told ABC News there's nothing to suggest they're connected. The university said Loureiro was a faculty member in the departments of nuclear science and engineering and physics, as well as the director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. Ooh, interesting. Loureiro, a native of Portugal, wanted to be a scientist since childhood, according to MIT. So that's interesting that he's in the Department of Nuclear Science and Engineering Physics, as well as the director of Plasma Science and Fusion Center. I wonder, now I'm putting on a tinfoil hat. I don't have my tinfoil hat with me, but I'll put on my fake tinfoil hat. And come up with that. Maybe he was working on something and got a breakthrough, and maybe somebody didn't want him to have that breakthrough. I don't know.
It does lead to speculation, and when you have a low trust culture, that is the kind of thing that's going to pop up. I remember back, and it was in the early 90s, that Professor Ian Culianu at University of Chicago was assassinated in a bathroom at University of Chicago because he had angered Romanian fascists. And that's generally been the accepted. It's not ever been himself, but the generally accepted explanation is that he had angered Romanian fascists who were based in Chicago. And again, this is a deeply disturbing development, not only for the senseless loss of life, but also for the fact that it does, again, puts people on edge.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is with this heightened sense of anxiety going on, there's more and more people purchasing weapons for their own protection, but at the same time, now they have a gun in the house. Unless say something else is going on in their head, and they're like, oh, look, I got a gun in my house. I can use this. So, I mean, the motives, I mean, if it wasn't robbery, right? If it wasn't robbery, then there's either two things. Either one, somebody had a vendetta against him for some reason. Well, it could have been three things. One is a vendetta. Two, it just could have been just some crazy rando. It could have been a crazy rando. Or, like I said, maybe he was working on something, found something he wasn't supposed to, and then, lights out.
Well, people were speculating that he may have had Zionist sympathies, but again, we don't know that. I mean, we just can't know that. In a politically charged situation, you don't know. People start speculating, and people get crazy than they already are.
Right, and that, like I said, and if I'm speculating, I'm going to tell you up front, I don't know. I'm just guessing, because at this point, there's so little information about any of this stuff. That's all you can do. And I think that's how they like it. They like the people in charge like for you to not know anything so that you can make these crazy, or maybe not so crazy, thoughts in your head about what happened. And then they can say, see, look, that person's nuts. Look what they're thinking. It's all a psychological game.
It is distracting. But again, this is tragic situation. A young man is dead.
Well, they mentioned Brown University. So let's get an update there. So right now, authorities are still hunting for the perpetrator of the deadly mass shooting at Brown University. They released a new enhanced photo Tuesday. I guess that's the photo right there. Not very good. And asked the public to pay attention to body movements, posture, gait, and other patterns to help identify the person of interest. A person of interest detained earlier in connection with the attack has been cleared, but the early focus on that person may have delayed the investigation by up to a day, according to a CNN security analyst. The shooting left 2 students dead and 9 others injured at the Ivy League school in Providence, Rhode Island, where classes and exams have been canceled. The campus remains on edge, and the governor has ordered a sweeping review of school safety measures. At least 75 school shootings have unfolded this year in the United States. 75 school shootings. 75 school shootings. Again, what is going on?
They used to make, whenever there was a school, back in the day, whenever there was a school shooting, it was major headlines. Now, kids are trained for it. Teachers are trained for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and nobody cares.
They have rooms now. They have these collapsible rooms in classrooms where the teacher goes to the corner, pulls this thing, and then all of a sudden you have it pulls out to a cornered thing where you have a safe room. We have to have safe rooms in schools now. Remember when it was
toddlers songs to remind them to have their hands up. It's like the hands up song. It's just, I didn't realize it was 75. You only hear about a couple of them, and you wonder why I'm nervous.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, and you'll hear a lot of people on the left say, "Well, we need stricter gun laws." It goes way deeper than that. It goes deeper than gun laws. Yeah. It goes deeper than the Second Amendment. It goes to a systematic rot that's going on in this country, right? Yeah. You have extremely high prices with inflation. You have low wages, housing's through the roof, everything's through the roof. You can't afford anything. People are losing their mind. Single people are losing their minds. The ones that don't have families or kids. I can't even imagine what families are going through in this nonsense, this nightmare scenario that this world's becoming.
Yeah. And it's the nihilism. It's nihilism.
It is. It just seems to be a lack of awareness from people. I think there's way too many distractions in people's lives. People are way too comfortable with their own personal situations where they don't want to rock the boat and they don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt their own lives like that. And that's selfishness. I mean, basically that's what that is. It may be self-interest, but that's selfishness, in my opinion, and until there is some sort of enlightenment where people are willing to get back to helping each other as one large community, we're going to see more and more of this kind of stuff, unfortunately. And what's going to be the breaking point? When is it going to end, I guess? And maybe that's too rhetorical, right?
It is. We hope it does.
Yeah. Well, to top off our lovely homicide block here, we go to Bondi Beach down in Australia. What do we know about the victims and the suspects there? I'm pretty sure you know by now there was a shooting there, a mass shooting. So Australia is mourning the victims of Sydney's Bondi Beach attack. Vigils were held a day after two armed men killed 15 people at a Jewish Hanukkah celebration on Sunday. At least 40 people remained in hospital following the attack, including two police officers who were in serious but stable condition, according to police. They said the shooting suspects are a father-son duo. Here's what we know about the victims and the shooting suspects. The victims were aged between 10 and 87 years old, according to the police. There was Rabbi Eli Schlanger. He was an assistant rabbi at the Shabbat Bondi, a Jewish global Jewish organization that had organized the event at the park. Peter Meager, a retired policeman, among others. Here, like I said, 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. There was a 10-year-old child. It's so the BBC reported on Tuesday, quoting Dan Sandoval, the spokesperson for the Immigration Bureau in the Philippines, said that Sajid, I guess that's the one of the perpetrators there. Let me see where that information is. So this happened over the weekend, right? During a Hanukkah celebration. Do they have the names here? I thought they had the names in here of the people that did the father-son duo. Anyway, so Israel is trying to claim that this was an Iranian plot, which, of course, there's no evidence for that. Here we go. So the suspects as Sajid Akram and Naveed Akram, his son. However, they've not confirmed their identities. So they used an Australian passport. The report adds that the two men traveled to the Philippines on November 1st and left on November 28th. Again, this seems like one of these kind of situations. I don't want to say false flag because real people died, but in this day and age, doesn't it always seem like there's some sort of ulterior motivation behind these kind of, especially when it lends to something as politically charged as something like this could be?
Here's the thing. Terrorism is always manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the terrorists know that there's a good chance that they themselves are going to die. If they are captured, they are going to probably, be incarcerated for the rest of their lives and have the screws put to them. They know this. Terrorism is always manipulation. They're trying to manipulate the public. And for example, when you have this kind of terrorism, whether we want to call it, however we want to conceive of it. Now, we don't want to go down down into tinfoil hat territory, at least not online. But we can say that when this sort of thing happens, people can be manipulated into hating a certain group, treating them terribly, and that manipulates that group into fighting back or engaging in bad behavior, and so it goes. It's a question of who wants to be manipulated here. There was a great deal of heroism that happened. Mm-hmm. And this is often the case. People don't realize it in disasters. It's not Mad Max. People do put themselves not yet, but they do put themselves at risk for others. There was a couple that tried to stop them early on. They were killed. There was a gentleman who did disarm one of the attackers. You saw the video. Very, very brave man. There were stories of people who were caring for other people's children, even when they couldn't find their own. So a lot of people did right by each other during this event, and that is a very strong response to terrorism and saying we will not be manipulated into being beastly to each other.
Right, and it's just, if you are trying to make a political statement out of this, you're not making a political statement. All you're doing is bringing more hate to you when you do things like this, right? When you're going against an actual oppressor, when you're being occupied by another country and you lash out against that oppressor, that's one thing. But these are children, these are elderly people, these are people. What I tell my buddy Ed, I call them my regular ass Jews. They're just regular people. They have nothing to do with the machinations of the world or anything like that. These are just innocent people, and it's just sad, and it's terrifying in a way, really, to see stuff like this happen. And God knows what's going to come out of it. Hopefully nothing, but we have to be prepared for everything, unfortunately. So, but that's the Riptide for today. Murder.
Murder, mayhem.
Right at the end of the year too. But we have we're going to change gears dramatically here and ascend as it were, and bring on he is the host of the Ascending Jukebox on WHCM FM. And his name is Mike Prendergast. I'm sorry, your name's kind of a tongue twister, Mike.
Yeah.
How you doing, Mike? Good to see you.
I'm good. Can you guys hear me good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You look good too.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
You got that great radio face.
I jumped on here about 15 minutes. I was listening there, Warren, to what you were saying, and really, I think ultimately there is a lot of static and noise and darkness that is going around.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say we're changing gears, we are changing gears. We're going a different direction here. We are moving up. And I talk about it a lot on my show. I see it at the college because I do see the college kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting to see at my age to interact with people at that age and see them socially connected. It's really something else. So I wanted to make that transition, Warren, because I think it's important to what I'm doing and why I do it.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what's going on over there at WHCM?
Well, if you don't mind me interjecting just for a second, I wanted just to mention how I found Mike and brought him on. I wanted to I set this up for everybody. And that is the fact that Mike has this show. He and I have some friends in common. He's friends with some of my cousins, and he friended me on Facebook. Yeah. And he reached out to me and said, look, I don't mean to be spamming you or anything, but I've got this radio show. Would you consider liking my page and liking my Spotify stream? And I said, well, radio, I mean, that's my wheelhouse. How funny. And so I began talking with him. I said, look, dude. And he was talking about how he started an independent radio show on his own and how it came about. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I realized, hey, we're independent media here. I would love for our viewers and listeners to learn how somebody got into independent media, did it on their own, and are doing it well. So that's why I had to get Mike on the show. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and taking time out of your day.
Well, lady, thank you so much. And I think you point to something that I've consciously been trying to do lately. So we'll back it up a little bit. So what I've done is basically I've just manifested this whole thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no other way to put it. I think I have to kind of almost go back a little bit to when I was a very young child. My parents had a commercial grade Wurlitzer jukebox in the basement at 6 years old. Nice. I mean, you talk about magic, right? You walk up to this machine and you press buttons and this glorious music comes out of it. And I remember I could literally almost tell you where every song was on, in the jukebox, except what was A4. I could tell you that B6 was Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, stuff like that. It made such a huge impact on me. And I think ultimately that was the origin of that. It was just something that I felt like I had to get out. And this is all kind of started with just creating playlists on Spotify. The jukebox was filled with songs from Burt Bacharach, right? And I didn't know until he died how many songs were in the jukebox. The Fifth Dimension, Dionne Warwick, Burt Bacharach wrote. He's the soundtrack for many of our boomers' lives. For people that are in their 60s, right, and 50s. I couldn't believe how many songs he wrote that impacted me. And I put that playlist out on Facebook. And next thing I know, I've got like 40, 50 people following it. And people calling me saying that this is a great thing. Can you make more? That's where the light went off. It's like, hey, man, people want this. I think people my age have had a really hard time figuring out where to find new music. Where to find music, and everything's all corporate and commercialized now. There's no way for people my age. We've lost. I mean, when we stopped buying songs from CD stores, we had a hard time. We struggled. I struggled with it, no question.
I miss that too. Now they're all niche, right? Radio, like album stores, that kind of thing are all kind of niche now. I mean, they still have I lived in New York for about 15 years, and I remember some of the stores there, and it was just so sad because these places. I mean, you still had people in there, but it used to be that was the center of cultural connectivity with people, right? You'd go to the music store together and you're like, oh yeah, that new CD out by so-and-so, we got to go get it, that kind of thing. Or, back in the day, the new cassette or maybe the 8-track or whatever it was. And now it seems like that culture is all just boiled down to just niche pockets. And it seems like you're bringing something like kind of like a revival of the old days like that.
Yeah. I remember, go ahead, lady. I was just going to say, I remember Rainbow Records in Park Ridge, where I grew up. Right. Every week we would get the WLS sheet of the top hits
Yes.
On WLS, and they were free, and the record stores were very connected to the radio stations. The radio stations put their top hits sheets in every week, and you would go down and get your free copy, even if you weren't buying anything that week. You could see physically in your hand what was going on with that station and in the music industry. Those were times, I tell you.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, right? I think people, the boomers and Gen Zs or Gen Xers, boomers and Gen Xers have kind of lost their navigation point. They didn't. I know I had a hard problem with it, and I will tell you right now, my daughter Carly turned me on to Spotify and showed me what to do, and it was like I bought a record store. It was like I own a record store now. This was the coolest thing, like you were saying, Warren. It's like, this is really cool, and then I could just kind of flip through, not through CDs and albums, but through artists. And I grew and grew and grew. And then there was this new music that was coming through, that my daughter had introduced me to. And all of a sudden it popped into my head. It's like, hey, there's more here. Kids, Gen Zs and millennials love 80s music. My daughter asked for the Smiths album for Christmas. She wants the Cranberries. It's hilarious how just into it these kids are.
I know, that's the best part when the kids are like telling you about the old stuff that you grew up with. You're like, it's all cyclical, right? It seems like it.
Yeah. So it's funny because, and this will get to the point of the show, I promise. The kids love bands like ELO. And then I asked my daughter, okay, are they British or American? And she has no idea. She wouldn't know who Jimmy Page was to save her life.
Right.
But they listen to Led Zeppelin. They listen to ELO. They listen to Supertramp. They love all the music. And I asked her, would information about these older bands help you understand the music better? And she said, yes. She said, this is really cool. I had no idea. These are really cool things. And so I'm getting that from the millennials and Gen Zs. The other side of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring new music to the boomers and the Gen Xers, right?
Sure.
We've lost our way. And I find, I think I found my way. So I'm trying to pull all my boomer and Gen X friends with me. So I'm going to do this thing where I feature an artist on the show, and then I just kind of talk about them for an hour and a half and play the music. And it's kind of behind the music with the music. Does that make sense? You remember the old MTV Behind the Music? You get the story, but man, give me the music. I want to hear it. So I'll make a point, and then I'll play the song that's the point. But how did I get here, right? I think Lainey,
that's what we want to know about.
Question, right?
It's one thing to do a playlist. How do you get on the radio?
So I was inspired. I was inspired by the feedback I was getting from friends.
Okay.
Also, there's this whole dude, you've got a radio voice thing. And I understand that. And I've been, using it to coach football and yell at little kids for a long time. And that seemed to work. That was a lot of fun. But they've all grown up now.
That's good stuff.
And so I had to do something with it. And the concept of putting together a podcast was the first theory. And I contacted a gentleman over at WZRD. And I asked him, hey, how do I get a podcast together like this? And his response was, screw the podcast. You should do radio. It's a lot of fun. I looked at it, and I live about 2.5 miles from Harper College. I looked at WZRD and I thought to myself, that's a long drive. I want to moonlight. I just want to, I'm a medical device rep during the day. I have a career. This is what I've been doing for 25 years. But I have to get this out. I have to get this out, or else I will regret it if I don't do it, right? So the next thing I know is I'm calling Matt Byrne over at WHCM, who's the general manager, the student general manager over there. And I just threw the idea at Matt. I said, hey, Matt, what do you think of this? And he goes, it's a great idea. Why don't you come on over and we'll give you a slot. Take the class. So I'm like, what do you mean take the class, Matt? He goes, yeah, man, you got to go sign in. Go be a student over at Harper College and take the class. And I got to tell you, when I went in to go register, I said, well, I'm a returning student. I was here in 1981 and 1982. And they asked me for my email address. I'm like, I don't think I had an email address.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And the young girl looked at me and she goes, I don't know what to do. Judy, can you help me? They were like,
back then we were using our social on everything.
Yeah, it is hilarious. So I started taking the college class, and what I didn't know, I didn't know what I didn't know, and what I knew was music, and what I knew was the stories behind the music and what I wanted to bring out. So 2 years later, this year they gave me a 2-year slot or 2-hour slot starting in March, and the show has just taken off from there. Ever since I went from an hour to 2 hours, I feel like I've got this room, I've got this space to really do what I want to do and tell people what I want to tell. And the beautiful thing about it is it's live radio. I am not pre-recording anything.
Right.
And if I make a mistake, I laugh and I screw it up, and we just move on. And I've posted, what I've been doing is posting these live shows up to Spotify. And it's interesting. There is a desire to follow live radio on Spotify, if that makes sense.
It does not surprise me at all. I mean, I've been doing podcasting, but also doing radio for a while in various forms. And one, as well as, of course, the YouTube shows. And one observation I've actually make is I flub more when I'm pre-recording than when I'm live. There's that energy there that there's a flow that happens.
Yes.
When I'm working live, and I do believe I do a better job when that happens. That's just for me. But what about you, Warren?
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit far removed from my radio days in the early 90s, but I remember working with people who taught me about like building tempos, and good segues between songs to make not just a collection of songs, but where it's just one total experience, right?
Right.
And when you do that live, like you said, there's the hiccups and there's the bumps, and that's just all part of the charm, and that's what kind of reaffirms that you're a human and you're not an AI pushing this music to the people. But go ahead.
Well, you just touched on something. I don't want it to pass. AI, and I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Neil Francis last week. He's from Chicago. He's just played the Salt Shed 2 weeks ago. Big homecoming show. Really steeped in New Orleans style music, which I found interesting that a white boy from Chicago could get into old school Meters and Neville Brothers type style, right? So I'm
a white boy from Chicago. I'm into that shit too, man.
I'm a white girl from Chicago.
I am too, but I don't play it. And it's a different. There's a different.
Right.
There's a commitment by him to bring.
That's a personal indulgence. It's like I want to keep that for me. But then there's music that you just want to spread to the masses and share because it's so good and it's so good for everybody, right?
That's what he's doing. So we had the conversation about AI specifically. And his manager and I both said the words at the same time. And I believe this to be true from the live experience. To your point, Warren, AI, I think authentic individualism is the real AI. That is true. That is what resonates with people. Mm-hmm. And everything I've heard, the feedback I get is I'm authentic and I'm genuine because of what I explained to you at the beginning. Because I fell in love with the jukebox. I just fell in love with music. And, when I talk about it, it stirs me up, get fired up about it. And I can't wait to share it with people and tell them stories. So I think what I've done is I've gotten really good at writing a story and walking through the listener as a journey. We start with David Byrne, who was born in Scotland, and then they moved to New York because his parents were interfaith marriage and just weird stuff like that. And then next thing you know, he's in the Talking Heads and and it's great stuff. And we just kind of walk through it, and then I'll play a song, and it kind of it just connects. And I don't know, yeah. If it doesn't, if you can't show, I love it.
Well, you can't fake passion. Here's the thing: you cannot fake passion.
Right. And live helps with that.
Yeah, it really does. It really helps with that because it's you're not a self-conscious. You're there. It's do or die. And if you cannot fake passion, and people respond very well to passion. I've noticed. I was a tea blogger and a tea podcaster for a long time. I just had this thing with tea. Now I'm into wine, but then I was really, really into tea. And I eventually got a job at a local tea shop just for fun. And I had really, really good sales. I hadn't worked in retail in over 20 years.
Yeah.
But I had very high sales numbers. And the reason, everybody attributed to that, I had a passion for tea. Mm-hmm. And something that I noticed is that if I told somebody, and I never lied, if I told somebody that I had this tea at home, or if I used this teapot or tea cozy or whatever at home, this was one of the things that I owned, they bought it like that.
Yeah.
And because it was genuine.
There's no question. Genuine, authentic, so genuine is resonating. And Warren circling all the way back, as people are struggling to find out what's real and what's not, being real is a valuable commodity in this in this day in 2025, 2026 and moving forward.
I've seen that online too. People are just starting to really just like anything AI like that. They're just like, no, I don't want anything to do with it.
That's interesting because Lainey, I sent Lainey a message through Instant Messenger because we have friends of friends, and I knew she was into music because I have a lot of music friends, and so I was trying to build it out that way. And Lainey, you mentioned it. I purposely made that instant message as authentic as I possibly could because you're probably going to get 50 that are not.
Yeah, and some people, they're just trying to get their stuff going. But I saw that you were friends with several of my cousins. You went to Forest View, which I would have been if I stayed in Arlington Heights. You were friends with some of friends that I know through them, so I knew you were good people. And it was just, I was happy to have a conversation. I saw you were into radio. I love that sort of thing. But then I realized, hey, wait a minute, this is the sort of thing that I'm in this independent media space. I have been for a while. Yeah. And you went ahead and just did it on your own. I do. We'll get into it a little bit later on because I'd like if you offer some suggestions to people who might be watching this. But it was that authenticity. But you also said you were doing it old school, one-on-one. You just weren't spamming people and saying, "Hey, follow this link." You weren't just hitting a share, and you can always hit the share, and that's fine. But following that up, what you did is to make a real connection with me. You were taking a risk, but you're in sales. You know about you eat rejection for breakfast. But that. You made that real genuine connection. Now we're talking to each other. We know who the other is. I brought you in with Warren and some of our really good viewers and listeners.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
And that's what happened because you actually did it old school rather than relying on a tool.
And again, I think that's the authenticity behind it, right? Yeah. Isn't that? I mean, that's really what I think what we're all looking for is something that if we're going to spend our time listening, watching, or doing something, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. I want it to fulfill my life. And what I'm hoping to do, and Warren, again, I can't say it enough. Going back to, it's a scary time for people out there. And I see it at the college, and I see the kids, young adults. I shouldn't even call them kids. I'm sorry. They're young adults.
Those are us, they're kids.
And they're engaged, and they have, and it's multicultural over there. It's I mean, that's the beautiful thing. That is the beautiful thing about it too, right? Is the school over there, they just want me to be me. Guys like Brian Shelton, Eric Hansen over at WHCM have created this culture, and they have a great studio. They've really invested some money and have done it. It's a gorgeous studio. It's beautiful. and you're able to do whatever you want to do there. You can. So they've given me the artistic freedom to just go for it, and I can't thank them enough for that. And they support me with it too. They're just like, keep going, man, keep doing it. And then, you know, they gave me 2 hours instead of 1 because they just said, hey, look, you're doing a great job. Thanks. You know, we appreciate it. And I just love all the people over there. And I'm starting to see now a cycle of kids that come in and out, or students, I should say. There's this group that I was working with, and now there's a new group, and they float through. And I hope I have an impact on them and get them into radio, and I support them and tell them to keep going. There's one thing that I'm definitely coalescing around. It's consistency.
Yeah.
If it's anything, and you two know this, keep going, keep making the content. You have a good show, great. You have a bad show, so what? Have another show. You know, just keep going. Just keep going. You know, that's it. And I've done that with a lot of things in my life, and it's been successful. And I'm just trying it here. Yeah, it's great.
Well, the good thing about you know, showing just real sincerity like that. For one thing, sincerity like that comes at a premium these days. It seems like everybody you talk to almost is trying to sell you something or trying to push some sort of narrative or something on that. But then you have people who are just regular ass people who just want to play music. They just want to entertain people. And you know, I think that's what you've got going on there. Have you gotten any feedback from like members of the community, maybe listeners? You got a fan club? Come on. I'm pretty sure you do, right?
I do have. I have an amazing community of friends who have really supported me and pushed me through this. I wouldn't say pushed me, but they just have supported me, and they listen, and then they give me the feedback. It's funny. I've heard myself. I listen to myself sometimes in the car, and it's bizarre to hear yourself on the radio in the car.
Oh, right? Yeah. You're like, who is that?
But when I listen to myself and the feedback I've gotten, Warren, to your point, genuine, passion, authentic. That's the words that keep coming through. So I'm going to pound my chest on that. It's what I'm hoping for. When it comes from inside, there is no other way to be, right? You have to be genuine and authentic just because that's the way it's coming out. And the more that you lean into it as a person, things like this happen. Doors open. I meet Lainey, I meet Neil Francis. I mean, this is just it's the craziest thing. And I said at the very beginning, I think it just kind of manifested it. I've just been talking about it out loud and saying this is what I want to do, and people are coming along with it, and I hope that when I'm on, or they listen on Spotify, that it's 2 hours that they forget about Bondi Beach or Brown University or Rob Reiner. It's been a rough week, and I'm going to go on tonight, and one of the things I'm going to say is, hey, it's been a rough week. Turn it off. Turn me on, let's go. And we're going to just love it. And we're going to I'm going to do Paul McCartney and Wings tonight. Because I saw Paul McCartney a few weeks ago, and I get inspired. And these shows come to me in that fashion. And so a lot of the music I'll play tonight was inspired by the concert that I saw. And that's why I picked Wings. I thought just focus on, instead of taking Paul McCartney in a 50-year career, I'm taking it down to just a small little piece of Wings, which is 7 albums. And the story comes to me, and it writes itself at times. It just does.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about, and this is partly my own experiences, and I'd love to hear what you think, Mike, and of course you Uncle Warren as well, because we've benefited from new media. Which is the various new media platforms. Anybody can get on. There's no real gatekeeping. If you have a mic or a camera and a computer, you can get on. But I've also seen the real value of legacy mediums like radio, terrestrial radio, where there is a bar to getting on the air. It does have some differences, but in some ways it can be even more accessible because you don't need a computer or an internet connection.
That's correct.
You turn on the radio. Nobody's tracking you on the radio unless you're working for Nielsen. Nobody is tracking you on the radio, so you have some privacy. You don't have an algorithm. Somebody is, unlike if you're listening to a Spotify stream where the algorithm is going to give you what it thinks you want. When you're listening to a radio show, you're listening to what Mike Prendergast thinks that you should be listening to.
That's right.
So it does give some legitimacy as well. I found when I was I did a show about wine in Chicago, the Chicago Wine Report. I was on the radio. I also was a theater correspondent for a local show about the arts on the radio. And when those shows got on the radio, were not podcasts, but got on the radio, people treated me differently. And I got a lot more comps. People were comping me for stuff. They wanted to be on the show. They were fighting to be on the shows. We had a lot of really good stuff happening there. Do you think, Mike, that this may be the way forward for people who are willing to be consistent and who want to develop independent media? The idea of forming these partnerships with legacy mediums, whether it be local television, cable access, local newspapers, local radio. Do you think that might be a really good way forward, particularly for those of us who, like myself or Warren, are Gen X, or those who are boomers who bridged this and saw this transformation, maybe even helped it along firsthand?
Right.
Do you think that's something that is reasonable for independent media people?
Yeah, actually, I've actually said radio is the new vinyl. It feels like it's the hip thing to do now. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's just because when I go to a concert and I'm talking to somebody and I tell them I've got a radio show, I'm at WHCM 88.3. It changes the dynamic immediately.
Big time.
It really does. And I could have two listeners for all that matters, but the bottom line is there's, a reality there that someone hears the voice. They see, I'm 6'5", so I'm not a short guy by any means. And so what ends up happening is there's that energy and people hear it and all of a sudden they're like, wow, okay, that's really interesting radio. How do I find you? Well, then I send the link out and asking people to plug in at 5:00 every Wednesday for 2 hours is just simply, I can barely make it. And I'm the one hosting the show.
Yeah.
That's why I think, out of necessity, I went to the Spotify piece. And I think what content creators need to figure out is a lot of times they're making the content and they look for the audience after, right? It's where is your audience? Where are they? What are they listening to? What are they doing? Where are they going? That's why I think it's important to, the legacy media can help us understand where people are and make that connection. I think it's hard to take someone from Facebook and move them to Spotify. Really difficult transition. I'm seeing a lot of people listening to the show, but not following the show. And so I don't get the demographic information out of that. I just got someone from Italy started listening to it this week. That blows my mind. It really does. I can't believe it. Of course, then, I think I have to go to Italy and go thank that person for listening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great hardship, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. You've come all this way. So to answer your question, Lainey, I think there's a lot of new things happening. I think people have to try everything. That's why I came on today. I haven't done a YouTube live interview, and it's great. I want to. Life begins out of your comfort zone.
It does.
It's true, and I've been uncomfortable for the last couple of years, and I love it.
Yeah,
I have. Just do.
It is the best kind of discomfort, that's for sure. There are still times I might wake up in the middle of the night and go dead air, and I'm looking for a tune to put on. I'm like, oh wait, I'm not doing that. But it's you could take the the guy out of radio, but you can't take the radio out of the guy, or the gal. But it is a good experience, and anybody that can get into radio like you have done, I highly suggest that they do that, because not only is it a good experience, but especially if they're, someone who's as genuine and authentic as you are, they're going to have success with that, because I think people are clamoring for that now. They've heard enough of this, just the propaganda and just all this noise. They just want to hear plain talk. They want to hear something real, and it's good that you're providing that for them.
Well, I work with a guy who does the morning show, Carson Starr, Charlie Ayers, and he told me something, and he records his show and uploads it every morning for Harper. And he's my age, great guy. It was just really nice to be able to hang with somebody my age at the station, right? And, and what he said is, the industry is changing, and you got to adapt to it. He's trying to figure it out too. We all are, and we're just communicating with each other. And this is how it works, Lainey. It's networking 101.
It is.
The technology is different, but the human interaction is the same. It just is. And the more crap we get that gets in the way of me talking to you, I have to figure out how to navigate that and use that to talk to you and share whatever I want to say. And when I think about what I want to say, I just want to talk about the music, and I don't want to talk about sports or politics. I think that's a little overdone, just a little. So I think music is where we want to be. I think it has an emotional connection for everyone. I've often said I've seen Republicans and Democrats fight, but I've never seen Led Zeppelin fans fight over what's better, Led Zeppelin 4 or physical graffiti. Of course, any other answer than physical graffiti is wrong, because physical graffiti is the best Led Zeppelin album ever made, and I'm going to fight.
Come on, man. What about Coda? I'm sorry.
Bunch of garbage. Although physical graffiti, believe it or not, physical graffiti, and this is the geek in me, was a bunch of songs that were left over from Houses of the Holy and Led Zeppelin 4. And it ends up being one of their greatest albums. It's just a bunch of leftovers. It was great.
They seem to try to twist it up a little bit when In Through the Outdoor came out too, right? Yeah. Started to do a little more like creeping into the 80s kind of sound, but not really, but still keeping that rock edge.
I've often wondered what would have Led Zeppelin made it through the 80s. You have to ask yourself that question.
Yeah. It would have been commercialized as hell. They would have been commercial. I mean, if they were already commercialized as hell, but once that 80s commercialization hit, you would have seen like Led Zeppelin on like cereal boxes and stuff like that. It would have been just crazy.
What happened to The Who?
Oh, good Lord.
They disappeared. MTV came along, and a lot of bands didn't make it. And others like ZZ Top and Yes and Genesis took off. For whatever reason, the music industry had such an impactful moment there in the early 80s and late 80s. And I've often wondered, would Led Zeppelin have made it? Would they have made good music? I mean, Lord knows Jimmy Page hasn't. He hasn't done anything since that band. Robert Plant's had a great career. And John Paul Jones did that album, Them Crooked Vultures. Anyone familiar with that?
Mm-mm.
That's so get this. It's Dave Grohl on drums, John Paul Jones on bass, and Jason Holm from Queens of the Stone Age on guitar.
Oh, wow.
I'm geeking out on you guys. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I love it.
There's the promo for Ascending Jukebox. If you listen, I'll get you guys that information and make those connections. And I think I've done a pretty good job of not being too geeky, but not too TMZ either.
No, I mean, we love this stuff.
Coverdale Page was a smashed piece. No, it was not. No, it was not. And be real. No one's playing Coverdale Page anytime soon.
I saw Plant and Page mid-90s at the Pyramid in Memphis before it became a Bass Pro Shop. And it was amazing.
I've been to the Pyramid in Memphis. I dressed up like Elvis Presley at a Grateful Dead concert on April 1st.
Nice.
And let's see what else. Yeah, I followed the Grateful Dead for a long time. I got into it. I got to tell you, I can't let you leave. I can't get off this without saying that community is unbelievable as far as music goes. They are passionate about their music.
I got a buddy who's a Fish head too, so it's like the same vein. He used to come to New York when Fish would have the Baker's Dozen shows, like 13 shows at the end of the year, and he'd go to all 13 shows. I said, "You're a madman." He goes, "No, I'm a Fish head," but it's the same with the Dead too.
Yeah, so I'm going to go see Fish at the Sphere,
Nice.
and I've seen him at Madison Square Garden. I've seen Fish a lot. I just see concerts a lot. I went to over 25 concerts this year. So I'm not just listening to music, man. I'm getting out there and I'm seeing old bands. I'm seeing guys like Paul McCartney, and I'm seeing this. I went and saw this. I saw David Byrne recently. It was unbelievable. Well, just one of the best concerts I've ever seen. I did his show last week. So anyways, it's just kind of as it comes up, and I just do it, and I keep going to these concerts, and I get inspired by it. Live music. I think live music has a renaissance too. As we're talking about radio, I think live music, these artists have no other way to make money but then to hit the road. Yeah. They just don't. There's no money in making records anymore. And it's a great time for fans to be concert lovers because everybody's coming to town, everybody's on the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Lee.
Well, I was just going to say, we want to respect your time here, Mike. A couple of, if you quit very quickly, a couple of things. Sure. If somebody wanted to, whether it's music or politics or sport, whatever, wanted to, get into indie media and was considering going to a local radio station or cable access station, what piece of advice would you give them?
Take the class. Definitely take the class, whether it be Harper, WZRD, whatever college is out there doing it. It doesn't matter your age, clearly. Yeah. And you need to learn the equipment. You need to learn how to navigate so that you have the freedom to be able to express yourself, right? So at the beginning, like my first 6 months, I always felt apprehensive to the next song or the button I got to click because we're running the board. We don't have engineers.
Okay.
I mean, so I'm learning the equipment, learn the software, learn the equipment, get used to doing all the technical stuff first. Then it frees you up to be able to create and use your mind and say, this is what I'm going to talk about today, or this is where I want to go with it.
All right. And I've put some links up in the comments, and folks, also in the show notes, you can get links to Mike. He's on Instagram, he's on Spotify, he's on Facebook. We got a link to the radio station there. If you want to follow him, he's doing the Lord's work here, folks. And let's give him a like and a follow. We very much appreciate that. Laney. The other thing I want to say, Mike, is we have said this to our friend Uncle Bill Tilford, who was on last week. We got a pre-record with him on today. Is that please do not wait for an invitation to come back on the show. If you got something you want to talk about media-wise, you think there's something important, hit me up. Hit Warren up. Hit me up, and we'll get you on, and we'll be happy to do so because you've been a fantastic guest. Got a voice for radio. You've got a face for YouTube. You're great. You're awesome. You're authentic. We love having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Mike and Warren, thank you so much. And I think, Laney, you hit it right on the head at the beginning. This has all started because we're just all trying to coalesce and make it all happen and make it a better, let's just make it a happier, better place. And in the end, it's on us to do it. And let's just carry it and let's just keep going. And music is going to make everybody a lot happier. So let's just do it. It's going to be. It
resonates with everybody. It really does.
Really does. And Physical Graffiti is the greatest Led Zeppelin album of all time. I'm going to just die on that hill.
And my very favorite Zeppelin song is Over the Hills and Far Away.
Very good. Warren, favorite Zeppelin song?
Well, Physical Graffiti is technically a double album, and that's kind of cheating, but I don't know. I like them all. I want to be that guy. All right. Although, no, I'm an Immigrant Song kind of guy. I like that. I like it when it just punches you right in the face right off the bat. It does. You know what I'm saying? Delicious.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
I'm a Trampled Underfoot guy. I go back to I'm a big Physical Graffiti guy.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of all progressive rock. I was a big Rush fan. I'm a big, very happy to see they're going to be on tour next year with with a female drummer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I
thought
that was brilliant because you can't compare them. You just can't. It just takes the whole comparison piece out of the equation. So I think these I don't know if you know this, but Paul McCartney met Geddy Lee at a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and Paul McCartney told Geddy Lee to get back on the road, start playing, do not stop. And here's Rush, they're back, and with a female drummer, and it's just so cool. I tell you, and I hear new music that's coming out. There's a new album from the Gorillaz, Tame Impala. It isn't just old music that's coming back. There's a lot of artists that are now 40 that are children of our favorite artists from the 70s, and they're making incredible music. They really are. They're carrying the torch and they're paying it forward. So I'm just here to keep doing that.
All right. Thank you so
Mike,
much.
Appreciate you. Mike,
do you guys log me off? What do I do here?
No, I'll take care of you. Let's give you a nice. No, you don't worry about this. We got this.
Mike, stop that. That's horrible.
Just to remind everybody, Mike is the host of the Ascending Jukebox on WHCM FM. Where's that located? Where's that at?
Harper College, Palatine, Illinois.
There you go, right here in the state. So, Mike, we appreciate you coming on, and of course, friend of the show, always come back and see us. Okay, bud?
Yeah. Anytime you need me, reach out. I'm looking forward to following you guys as well. So this is going to be great.
We'll send up the Prendergast signal. Just look towards the skies, and then you'll know the sign. It's a radio.
So you're going to have to put the Ascending Jukebox logo up on the moon. If you can make that happen for me, Warren.
There you go.
We'll do it. We'll talk.
We have
Chuck to do it. Let's Chuck our alien friend. So he'll do it for us.
Any day now is what I'm thinking. Any day.
All Come get us.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. You too. Good man.
That was awesome.
And a good lady here too. Who is this? I know. Good editing job. So you want to set this up?
So what happened here is our good friend, I think he's in the comments. Bill Tilford was on last week talking about Venezuela, and of course, a whole bunch of stuff happened in Venezuela since then. So he and I actually got together and did a very, very quick 10-minute conversation about what's been happening, and he's going to be keeping us abreast of things. But thought you might be interested in hearing the rest of the story.
There we go.
Venezuela.
Okay.
No audio.
Hang on just a second. Okay. I know what happened. Give me just 1 second.
No worries.
So, yeah, we're also going to have, hang on just 1 second. I know what I just did. It's going to work here in a second. I always forget to do this. I'm such a bad person.
Well, I forgot to update my name to Auntie Laney, and it's just got Laney Peterson, which is very boring. But, as Mike said, you just have to be consistent. The show goes on.
Let's see. There, you can hear it now, right?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything?
I'm not even seeing the video.
Oh, okay. Hang on just a second. Sorry about this, folks. Let me go back here. Well, it will kind of help if I brought it up, maybe. There we go.
And there I am with my eyes closed.
Yes.
No audio. Thank you, Trauma raised me. Yeah.
You can't hear that?
Nope. Can anybody in the comments let us know if you're hearing this?
Anybody?
No. Trauma raised me, says she can't hear it. No.
Well, that is not good. It's coming through everything it's supposed to be coming through. Do you want to kind of paraphrase what he was talking about?
Well, it was fairly complicated. We went fairly complex about the relationship between the Russia and China and Venezuela, our inability to really get involved in a ground war. Also, the obvious concerns here in many ways is that something accidental doesn't kick off. That ideally, nobody in their right mind wants anything, this to have a war, an actual war. But if somebody does something stupid, like bombs the wrong boat, or sharpshoots or the wrong boat, or somebody gets a bug up their butt and is in a bad mood and orders blockade, or they run some planes, that something accidentally could come up. There could be unintended consequences. And so that's what we talked about. We talked about it in some detail. If we can't get this to work, what we probably can do is get this put up as a separate video, could re-edit it, put it up as a premiere for people wanting to watch it later on, if we're not able to get the audio to work on this.
I don't really know why it's not working on your end. I mean, it's everything's, let's see. Let me try one more thing here. My apologies, folks. Where are you?
And I can get that turned around fairly quickly if we have to do it that way.
Let's see. Let's try this one more time. And if you can't hear it, we'll, yeah, like I said, we'll definitely put this up on our YouTube site for sure for you to have it. I'll make sure to put that up. Let me see. Oops. Let's add that. Let's do this. And
nope, nothing's coming.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Audio is always evil.
And I'll put it up as a premiere. Sorry about that, folks. And sorry, Bill, for this. I know you took the time out to do this and we wanted to make it part of the show, but we will get it up. We will premiere it so that it'll be on YouTube and people can see. It was a very interesting conversation.
Right. But we do have an update on the information that he was talking about. Let me get this pulled up here. So Trump has ordered a naval blockade of sanctioned Venezuelan oil tankers.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. None of this is looking good at all. It's again, we have a lot of saber rattling. And now we've got Russia and China in the mix. You can go right ahead if you want to read this, but it's now we've got a totally complete blockade. We've also got, by the way, Trump has declared fentanyl to be a weapon of mass destruction, even though Venezuela doesn't have fentanyl. Everybody's getting confused, and he's using a lot of words, using a lot of keywords, you might want to say, and people. The keyword is shank. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so he's the word is sanction, which is only a fraction of tanker traffic there. Yeah. So basically, Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. Trump bloated, which is, it's stupid. He said he's claiming theft of our assets and many other reasons. I thought they were Venezuelan assets. Isn't that right? Aren't they Venezuelan? I don't know. I didn't think Venezuela was part of the United States. It includes terrorism, drug smuggling, human trafficking. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. So he ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. He said the government issued a statement in response saying it rejected Trump's grotesque threat. Said the president of the United States intends to impose in an utterly irrational manner a supposed naval blockade on Venezuela with the aim of stealing the riches that belong to our homeland. the government said. Earlier, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said that the world will rise up against piracy and oil plunder over the U.S. administration's theft last week of a tanker vessel carrying Venezuelan crude oil. The Russian Foreign Ministry said on Wednesday that tensions around Venezuela could have unpredictable consequences for the entire West, according to the Russian news agency TASS. U.S. forces seized the Skipper oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and reported to have brought the vessel to Texas to unload its oil cargo. So U.S. Congressman Joaquin Castro, a Democrat representing Texas, said Trump's blockade was unquestionably an act of war, a war that the Congress never authorized and the American people do not want, Castro said in a post on social media. Every member of the House of Representatives will have the opportunity to decide if they support sending Americans into yet another regime change war. And that's exactly what this is. So he's doing this blockade similar to the one in Cuba, right? Trying to keep their oil from getting out to their customers. And of course, this couples with the 90 people that have been killed since September in attacks on dozens of vessels in the Eastern Pacific Ocean and Caribbean Sea near Venezuela in what international law experts have criticized as extrajudicial killings, which is exactly what they are. Washington claims the vessels were involved in drug trafficking, but of course, no evidence has been brought forth to prove this. So what are they doing down in Venezuela? Lainey, what does Trump hope to accomplish there? Is this just a scare tactic or is he actually going to invade? What do you think?
I am really hoping that he listens to anybody who might have a modicum of reason in his administration and who actually has some influence. Again, my sincere hope is that cooler heads prevail, but there's always that risk of an accident. Somebody does something stupid. Somebody is drunk at the wheel. Somebody's having a bad day. Somebody's finger slips on something. There are just things that could go badly. We'll be talking about that in the conversation that I had with Bill Tilford. We will get that interview up today. I'll get that edited a little bit, and then we'll get it up today so that folks can check that out. It is a very good conversation that we have that we had, and it's worth your time. It's about 10 minutes, so it's worth everybody's time to check that out, and it'll premiere on the Undercurrent. If you are not subscribed to the Undercurrent YouTube channel, please do so, because that's where it's going to be premiered. We would really appreciate it. And you can get links to everything that we do on our link tree, and I'm putting that right now into the comments.
Very good. And I just hit a button that I wasn't supposed to hit, and let me fix that. There we go. Not quite sure what was going on with the audio there. My apologies. Something probably on my end. So, but like we said, we'll get that video up today on the Undercurrent channel. So, with businesses turning more to AI, and then you're starting to see people getting laid off there. Sadistically, there seems to be CEO confidence rise amid planning to reduce employment. So these CEOs are just going to be CEOs of bot companies at some point. So confidence rose this month among CEOs of the largest U.S. companies, despite their plans to adjust to the hazy economic outlook by trimming payrolls for the third straight quarter. The Business Roundtable found in a survey, CEO expectations for sales and capital investment inched up, the Business Roundtable said Thursday, yet the proportion of CEOs who plan to reduce employment rather than raise it has increased this year to the highest level since the Great Recession. So that's according to CEO Josh Bolton of Business Roundtable. So CEOs softening hiring plans reflect an uncertain economic environment in which AI is driving sizable CAPEX growth and productivity gains, while tariff volatility is increasing costs, particularly for tariff-exposed companies, including small businesses, Bolton said. We continue to urge our trading partners and the Trump administration to stabilize the system and bring tariffs down. So now tariffs are starting to affect employment. And these CEOs are like, well, I don't have to pay a human. Yeah, I can a little something extra for daddy. So citing concerns about the weakening labor markets, the Federal Reserve Wednesday cut the main interest rate by a quarter point to a range between 3.5% and 3.75%. Fed governor, they have a governor, Stephen Moran dissented in favor of a half-point reduction. Okay, that's just seems like some semantics there. At the same time, falling inflation will probably allow the Fed to cut borrowing costs next year. I'm pretty optimistic for that. For 2026, rates will be able to be a fair bit lower than they are today. Comparing himself with other Fed officials, he said, I'm one of the most optimistic folks about how rates can go down in the coming years. So inflation remains too high. The economy shows continued momentum, and the labor market. The economy? Which economy? That's what I want to know. Which economy shows continued momentum? Because it sure ain't your economy or my economy that's gaining momentum. If it's gaining momentum, that means the prices are getting higher. In the labor market, though, cooling remains largely in balance. So this is where we're going. You're just going to have CEOs and the board, and then you're going to have what? A company that's just run by AI is basically what it is, right? And what's the rest of us going to do?
Well, I think the CEOs are jacking off to that fantasy, but I'm not sure how practical that's going to be. A lot of people are presuming an AI bust. I think that things are going to go horribly wrong in a number of areas. One other thing that I would say, and we just had this conversation with Mike, is you can't fake passion. You can't fake that authenticity. And I think people are going to be seeking that. And at some point, people are going to get really turned off by having to perpetually work with bots or what an AI agent is able to produce. So I would say that the CEOs may want to put their Kleenex away for now and possibly reconsider that they may be planning for a future that's not going to happen. I think there's a risk of all this. I think that there's also a risk of things going terribly wrong and people becoming demoralized. So I'm not willing to give up hope yet. I'm all for, I use AI in my work. I'm all for using it at the things that it can do very well. But I think that if you can continue to unemploy people who are unemployed don't have money, and they're not going to necessarily be buying what you're trying to sell. Just a thought. Speaking of unemployed, U.S. unemployment hits highest level since 2021. But I thought that economy was taking off. What happened? That's right. They don't want to pay people or hire them. The U.S. economy lost 41,000 jobs in October and November, and the unemployment rate has ticked up to its highest level since 2021 as the labor market cools amid ongoing economic uncertainty driven by tariffs and immigration policies, among other things. In November, the U.S. economy added 64,000 jobs after shedding 105,000 in October, according to a report released Tuesday by the Department of Labor's Bureau of Labor Statistics. The unemployment rate rose to 4.6%, up from 4.4% in September. Because of the government shutdown in October and November, the U.S. government was unable to gather key data used to gauge the state of the economy, including the unemployment rate for October. I bet you they knew that number was going to be terrible too. October's job losses reflected the 162,000 federal workers who lost their posts, a result of deferred buyouts of their contracts, which expired at the end of September.
Last month, there was a loss of another 6,000 government jobs. Gains were seen in healthcare, social assistance, and construction sectors. Healthcare added 46,000 jobs, higher than the 39,000 gained in the sector on average each month over the last year. Construction added 28,000, consistent with average gains over the past year. Social assistance sector added 18,000. So transportation and warehousing lost 18,000. Manufacturing also on the decline. The sector shed 5,000 jobs last month after cutting 9,000 in October, following a 5,000 job loss in September. So that's manufacturing too. And that was supposed to be what Trump was supposed to be bringing back to America, right? Manufacturing. That's what these tariffs are all about, to keep the manufacturing here. Wasn't that what's supposed to be? Rhetorical question. We know that's what it was. The assessment was driven by growth in construction jobs and manufacturing investments, which signal job growth is on the way. It's on the way. It's coming. People working part-time for economic reasons also rose to 5.5 million, which is up 909,000 from September. The data was released after the Federal Reserve cut its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points, as we told you. As the labor market has continued to cool gradually, a touch more gradually than we thought, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said after the rate cut decision. So, and then Wall Street markets fell slightly. So more unemployment, but Trump says we got a booming economy. Laney, why did the orange man lie to us? He never lies to us.
He never lies.
I can't roll my eyes hard enough. Sorry.
He must be terribly confused. Yeah. Somebody did very, very bad to him. Very, very bad, very evil people are after him. I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and he has to say all this stuff because what's he going to say? He goes, everything's in the toilet. Sorry. And then they're going to impeach him again. I mean, this time around, they actually have some really good things that they could impeach him on if they wanted to. Breaking federal law, international law by killing people in open water. That's probably a good reason to boot your commander in chief for breaking international law. But, we know the tale. We know how this works. The Democrats will do their theater and they'll try to get him impeached, and then he'll win, and then he'll gloat. And that's because he's done that twice already.
He doesn't care. He does not care.
No, he doesn't have to get reelected. He's not.
They don't call him Teflon president for nothing.
Well, and it's like, people say, oh, he's trying to get a third term. No, if he is trying to get a third term and they let him, then, then the country deserves to have that kind of trash happen, because we let it happen collectively as a country. We let that happen. So, I don't know, Lainey. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm a little fearful, just a little fearful.
Tiny bit,
just a little bit. Meanwhile, in the press pool, you got your trunks on. You ready to go swimming? You get in that press pool. It's so cold. It's only it was like 1 Monday.
I know it was
here.
Really cold even down here. It's warmed up a bit, but it was really cold.
Oh yeah, it's a balmy 39 degrees right here. So maybe swimming's not good, but we'll get in the press pool here. He'll just declare martial law and cancel. Yeah, he should declare martial law. Let the Martians run this place for a while. I think they do a lot better than us. The BBC vows to fight Trump's $10 billion lawsuit over documentary editing. I don't know who's the bad guy in this. The BBC doing some shenanigans, or just Trump himself. The BBC vowed to fight back against Trump's $10 billion lawsuit filed on Monday, the latest legal challenge brought by the president against a media organization over its coverage of him. That's funny. I see a lot of people threatening lawsuits over just asking questions, or just, nothing defamatory, just asking questions. They're going to sue you for it. A spokesperson for the BBC said in a brief statement on Tuesday, we'll be defending this case after Trump filed a lawsuit in a federal court in Florida alleging that the network defamed him and violated the state's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act when it aired edited comments he made in a speech on January 6, 2021, just before thousands of his supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol. Before last year's presidential election, the BBC series Panorama aired a documentary titled Trump, A Second Chance? ? The film includes a section featuring Trump's speech to a crowd in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, with two clips of him speaking about 50 minutes apart, spliced together, making it appear as though he directly urged people to march to the Capitol. With his lawsuit, Trump has suggested the edited clip created the impression that he incited violence, though several journalists have noted that those allegations predate the documentary. I can't say documentary. I just said it. How about that? The edited clip received little attention until recent months, when the right-wing Daily Telegraph published details from a memo by Michael Prescott, a former BBC Standards advisor, with links to the Conservative Party. In the memo, Prescott took aim at the documentary's editing and alleged a pro-transgender bias and anti-Israel bias in the BBC's news coverage. Trump's lawsuit cites the internal review mentioned in Prescott's memo, alleging a string of incidents that demonstrate serious bias in the corporation's reporting. The BBC has publicly apologized for the editing of the documentary, but has denied that Trump has a legitimate basis for a defamation claim. Well, if you take somebody out of context on purpose, making it sound like they're saying something they're not, you're in those waters. So that's the lawsuit's the latest against a media company by Trump over coverage of him. He had two cases against ABC and CBS and its parent company Paramount, and those ended in settlements, with companies agreeing to pay him $16 million each. He also has a defamation case pending against the New York Times. So Trump gave a muddled explanation of his latest lawsuit while speaking to the press at the White House, falsely claiming the BBC was accused of using AI to make him say things he never said in the documentary. Why can't I say that word? Trump is suing the BBC. He doesn't know why, but he's suing anyway, said BBC presenter Sangeeta Miska. Richard Tice, deputy leader of the right-wing Reform Party, expressed support for Trump's lawsuit on Tuesday and agreed with the push for wholesale change at the BBC. Christopher Ruddy of the Trump-aligned network Newsmax also told The Guardian that the BBC should figure out a quick and easy settlement. But on the network's Today program, former BBC Radio 4 controller Mark DeMazer said that it would be extremely damaging to the BBC's reputation not to fight the case. This is about the BBC's independence. Yeah, sorry. They got jokes. And unlike American media organizations, which have coughed up the money, BBC doesn't have commercial business interests that depend on Trump's beneficence in the White House, so they should definitely fight it. I don't know if they should fight it, to be honest with you. I think they're busted.
It's not a good look for the BBC. Honestly,
not at all.
A president that had any consideration for geopolitics and a long-standing alliances with other countries could accept an apology. The people involved in this did resign. This has received a fair amount of exposure. Look, what happened was wrong. It was very wrong, and it should never have happened, because when this sort of thing happens, it makes media look even less trustworthy. It further confuses the public. We're already at a point where people are having difficulty telling between AI-generated video and things that have actually happened. And I've already seen people on social media sharing videos, inflammatory videos that are entirely AI. To the fact that they cut and spliced this up, which was a horrendous day. I mean, that January 6th was very seldom have I actually been truly frightened in my own home. That was a day that I was on edge, watching those yahoos Congress and sitting in the speaker's chair and all that sort of thing. It was surreal. It was frightening. It was coming off, the pandemic lockdowns. It was a terrible thing. I'll just put it like that. And so BBC, the people who did this at the BBC were very wrong, extremely wrong. I do think, however, billions and trying to drag this out, not wise.
Yeah, and that's just journalistic malpractice to do something like that too. It goes back to what Mike was talking about, authenticity, right? There is a severe drain of confidence for people in our media as it is, right? And then when you go and deliberately edit a piece like that to change the context of what's being said, I think the context, that's the thing. People need to hear the whole context and let the context be the damning element. You don't have to do this kind of editing. But when they don't say, like in a piece like that, if you're trying to get some sort of emotional thing out of people, and by editing this to make that happen, then you're no better than the person that you claim is the bad guy in the story, right? You're
worse because your job, you have a different job. If you are a journalist, your job is to bring the news, information to the people, and to be accurate. That is your job. I expect, and maybe this is wrong of me, but I have a very low bar for politicians. But I have a very high standard for journalists.
Yes.
And they went out of their way to cut and splice something.
No.
And I like the BBC. I love the BBC. Many Americans, have been great fans of British television for a long time. BBC Global News Podcast is a great way to get up to date on global news. I love getting news from the BBC, but this is extremely disturbing.
Right, exactly. We need to hold our journalists to account when it comes to stuff like that. And if it takes a defamation case like that, so be it. But I don't think they're going to learn any lessons out of this. I really don't.
Well, as I said, I don't want to blow up and as Uncle Bill Tilford just said, we don't want to blow up anti-beep. I don't want them blown up. This has been documented. Apologies have been made. Lessons have been learned, and that's the kind of thing that they say in the UK. But I would like the Trump administration to let this go. I think the lesson has been learned here. That's my take.
But we shan't underestimate the pettiness of Donald Trump, because he is extremely petty. What he said about Meathead, he's a petty person. So this is not beyond the fray with him, or beyond the pale, I should say, because this is it just seems like another way of intimidating the media too. That's another reason why he's probably not going to let this go, because this gives them an opportunity to make people distrust the mainstream media. Not that they haven't done a good job of doing that for themselves, but he's just kind of pushing an already rolling car downhill even further. Speaking of crazy nonstop clown business.
Oh man.
Here we go again. FBI man-woman drive to police station with Homeland Security agency trapped in the vehicle. Why aren't you working? Okay. This is a wild story, I guess. A man and a woman are facing charges of assaulting a federal officer after Homeland Security investigation agents tried to arrest the man Wednesday for overstaying his student visa. In an affidavit in support of the criminal complaint against this person and Rakia Leonisha Lee Frazier, we're just going to call him OOB, FBI Special Agent Terry Getsch, what's up with these names? What is this, the morning show? Writes that the HSI agents were inside an unmarked Ford Explorer SUV surveilling OOB's Kia Optima, which was parked outside an apartment complex in Plymouth, Minnesota. Frazier, who pulled up next to the Kia in a Jeep SUV with Bamigboye in the front passenger seat. When Bamigboye spotted the unmarked Explorer, he allegedly pulled a mask over his face and got out of the Jeep. According to the FBI affidavit, the HSI agents walked up to the Jeep, displayed their badges, identified themselves as law enforcement officers, and told Bamigboye that they wanted to talk about his immigration status. Bamigboye then allegedly jumped into the Jeep's backseat and yelled at Frazier to drive away. One of his HSI agents got into the front seat of the Jeep in an effort to stop Frazier while he tried to push him out, and a second agent tried to pull him out of the back seat. Frazier allegedly put the vehicle in gear and drove off. The HSI agent was now being involuntarily carried in the Jeep as it drove. The HSI agent tried to put the Jeep in park, but Frazier continually pushed his hand away, allegedly threatening to crash the car, and said that they were taking him to a police station. The agent, who's assigned to another HSI office and is in Minnesota on temporary detail for an operation, is unfamiliar with the Twin Cities and did not know where they were going and was in fear that he was being abducted.
Well, the shoe is on the other foot, dude.
Right, yeah? Now you know, bitch. Welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, that's awesome. So from the back seat, Bamigboye called 911. A detail confirmed in an incident report from the Plymouth Police Department. HSI agents pursued the Jeep from close behind with their lights and sirens on, at one point inadvertently hitting it from behind in the snow. Even after the agent inside Frazier's Jeep drew his gun and ordered her to pull over, she allegedly continued driving and stopped only after reaching the New Hope Police Department. Yeah, you're going to shoot the driver? Yeah. She knew that. She knew it wasn't going to happen. According to the affidavit, Bamigboye jumped out and ran into a Hy-Vee grocery store across the street while Frazier remained in her vehicle and was arrested only after other police officers arrived. Another HSI agent chased Bamigboye into the Hy-Vee, where a police officer found him in the back of the store, pulled out a taser, and ordered Bamigboye to get on the ground. When he allegedly refused, the HSI agent took him to the ground and arrested him. Both are being held in the Sherburne County Jail, where most federal defendants in the Twin Cities are held while in pretrial detention. Frazier declined to speak to investigators. In an interview with authorities, Bamigboye allegedly denied that the agents showed their badges, but admitted telling Frazier to drive away. According to the affidavit, he also said that he has PTSD from being kidnapped in his native Nigeria. Wow. Well, I mean, if you're going to kidnap somebody, it's good to have some experience, right? Wait, what? I'm sorry. That was terrible.
I had to share that. I mean, it was just one of the, this is not a funny situation. However, it is a very funny story.
Yeah. In that particular case, good on them. And I hope they scared the hell out of that guy. Really. Yeah, it'd be great if he's like, wow, that's what I've been doing to people. I should get out of this business. I know it's not going to happen, but it would be nice.
Fafo.
It'd be nice if somebody learned their lesson for once.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want to do. You want to threaten somebody who's driving the car that can crash that car into any light post or wall.
And they're in the snow.
And they're in the snow too. So of course you want to make the driver more nervous than she already is and stick a gun in her face. And she can easily just go, oh no. Fishtailing, which would be appropriate since it's clownfish school. Speaking of cars wrecking, oh boy. Do you like the robo taxis? You like these self-driving cars?
They make me nervous. They make me nervous.
I don't like human driving cars. Much less robots. They all scare me. But Tesla robo-taxis are crashing more than 12 times as frequently as human drivers. There you go. There's your robo-taxi. Looks like a Dollar Tree Hot Wheels there. Proponents of driverless cars often tout them as safer alternative to cars with human drivers, but such claims don't appear to be holding up so far in the case of Tesla's robo-taxis. Are these the same? I guess those are the same as like the Waymos that are out in LA. Those self-driving cars. I think they are. A Monday report from Electrek found that Tesla robotaxis are crashing much more frequently than cars driven by humans, as the company has now reported 8 crashes of its driverless taxi fleet in Austin, Texas, to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration since July. Electrek also crunched some numbers based on data released by Tesla last month and estimated that the Tesla robotaxis are involved in a crash every 40,000 miles they drive. For comparison, the publication reported cars driven by humans crash about once every 500,000 miles, meaning the robotaxis so far have crashed 12.5 times more frequently than human-driven cars. Wait a minute. Where's my pearls? Oh, let me clutch them. I'm shocked. All of the robotaxi crashes so far have occurred with human safety monitors who have been trained to take control of the car in the event of a software error present in the vehicles. So they have somebody in the car. Well, why don't you just drive the car? Why do you have a human sitting in the car monitoring the car? Just drive the car. Sorry. This is significant because, as TechCrunch reported on Monday, Tesla is starting to send out its robotaxi fleet without safety monitors. Uh-oh. Now, these things are crashing with safety monitors. I was scared. This is what scares me. That's why I don't have a car. I'm a little scared. TechCrunch noted that the removal of the human safety monitors brings the company a critical step closer to its goal of launching a real commercial robotaxi service, but also said it will most likely ramp up the scrutiny of Tesla's ongoing testing in Austin, doubly so when the company starts offering rides in the empty cars. I'm not riding in one of those things, that's for sure. I'd rather walk or learn how to levitate. I'm trying that right now. Tesla's bet on robotaxis has grown more important given that its vehicle sales in the U.S. and around the world have been dropping significantly so far this year, in part due to a boycott campaign inspired by outrage over CEO Elon Musk's support for far-right political parties. According to a report from Reuters, the most recent data from car software company Cox Automotive shows that U.S. Tesla sales dropped to a 4-year low last month. The news agency also pointed out that Tesla now is offering financial deals as low as 0% on the standard Model Y, which is a sign of weak demand. Come on. Have you seen those trucks? You like the Tesla truck?
Oh, it looks like the stupidest looking things I have ever seen. I mean, it's like...
Do you remember that? I don't know. Do you remember the Simpsons episode where Homer's brother was on there and he let Homer design the car and it looked all clunky and blocky and just nightmare fuel? That's what that Tesla truck looks like to me. It looks like something like somebody was made a bet. I bet you I can make a crappy truck and people will buy it.
I think they wanted to show people who the idiots really are. I mean, that you go driving one of those things, you have no self-awareness, and therefore are just exposing yourself as being an extremely problematic person. Mm-hmm. And they are just so dumb looking.
They're ugly. The trucks are ugly, just,
and they're dumb looking. They look like modeled bullets. Like somebody took a bullet casing and just like took a hammer to it.
If you remember like 80s animation, how like the was it Money for Nothing and You Chicks for Free video? They had all the angles, and
you're right. You're right. It
all
was
angles. And it's just,
video. Yeah,
and it's just like I saw one. I would, if I saw one of those, I'd be like, I want my money back. Because that's just, I don't even know how much those things cost.
It just looks stupid. It looks, I mean, I think what they were going for was Mad Max military vehicle. And that's what I think. I think again, this is, we're in a battle with nihilism right now. That's what I think it is. It's not right or left. I think it's nihilists versus people who think that humanity still has some purpose. Yeah. This vehicle. It is a nihilistic vehicle.
Yeah. Do you want to look the part of the apocalypse? Come get in one of these things. Yes. Chase gas tankers across the desert. Fight off feral people in a sandstorm in one of these. Yeah, it's definitely mad. It looks like something from Mad Max, and it's just. Yeah. But the car in Mad Max looked a hell of a lot better than that. At least it had this cool scoop, and it was like, this thing looks like, yeah, like some kids drew it and said, "Here, Daddy, will you make car for me?" And then he goes, "Oh, Junior, you're so sweet. Let's make this shitty car for him." And that's where we are. And that's why they call it the Clownfish Scoop. And a bunch of clowns, man. Would you ever ride in a driverless car?
If I was desperate, but I got to tell you, and one thing that I'm really getting worried about is that these jamokes are going to like start creating driver robots to be monitoring these driverless cars. And then we're going to have 2 robots trying to operate the car. And that's what I'm actually afraid of. At this point, we're in the realm of such stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
bot versus bot, Rock'em Sock'em robots. We're going to actually have Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Yeah, I used to think that flying cars would be cool, but now I'm like, no. I don't even like I don't even like the ground cars now. So it's just like, what we need to start learning how to teleport, and then just be done with vehicles all together.
Pneumatic tubes, something like that.
Well, Finley. I love a good story about drunk animals. I know it's probably not a thing to be like, but just knowing that our furry friends out in the wild love getting hammered just like the rest of us just brings me hope for some sort of harmonic convergence with nature, provided you bring the good booze, that is. So Virginia's drunk raccoon exposed as a serial offender. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please. Look at this. Look at that. They assed out drunk right next to the trash can in the toilet. Oh, it just warms my heart on a cold day. An animal protection officer in Virginia's Hanover County said the infamous drunk raccoon that broke into a liquor store is actually a serial offender. Well, he sounds like an alcoholic, really, which is kind of sad. Hanover County Animal Protection and Shelter previously revealed a raccoon had broken into the Ashland ABC store on Black Friday, broke several liquor bottles, and was passed out drunk in the bathroom. Well, at least he made it to the bathroom. You don't want to be a bad guest and, barf on the showroom floor there. Animal Protection Officer Samantha Martin has now disclosed on an episode of her Here in Hanover podcast, that's Hanover County's official podcast, that this wasn't the trashed panda. See, they did the trashed panda. The trashed panda's first crime. Panda,
that's funny.
The trash pandas, they did a thing. This is not the first time he's been in one of the buildings, Martin said, referencing the block of shops that includes the ABC store. Supposedly, this is the third break-in he's had. He was in the karate studio. Oh boy, that's what you want to be, is a drunk and a karate expert. And I think he got into the DMV, right? So he's trying to register that awful Tesla truck of his, and ate some of their snacks one time. So Martin said the raccoon spent the night at the shelter after the liquor store incident to sober up before being released near the scene of his multiple crimes. They must put him in the drunk. They put him in the raccoon drunk tank. We don't relocate him because that's a death sentence for raccoons, Martin said, but somehow he knows how to get back in this building. He's a smart little critter. She said she hopes the raccoon learned something about temperance from the most recent break-in. I hope he learned his lesson, Martin said, but I just say enjoy life. Enjoy your life. I think he's living his best life, and why not have a drink or two, especially on Black Friday. So, yes, masked bandits having a little sip of Grandpa's cough medicine. And again, see our friend here. There it is, folks.
There's our little friend.
If that's not a life lesson, can we? That's about as good as it's going to get. Look at him. I mean, and he's just all four paws just out, like he's spread eagle. Like when you're spread eagle on the floor, you are a trashed panda. That's all I will say about that. You ever seen a drunk animal in the wild? Like around there in Arkansas?
When they eat the fermented fruit. Have you ever seen those? You see them on the nature programs, and I remember once watching, it was a warthog who had been eaten, because what happens is fruit falls off the trees under the sun, it ferments. The animals eat it and they get totally wasted. And it was a warthog, a drunken warthog, who came home, goes into his den or whatever the heck it was. And then like 3 seconds later, he is hauling ass out of there, and his wife has just chased him out. She wanted nothing to do with this. And no, of course, I don't ever want to see animals getting drunk. It's not a good thing, but I think we've all been there, or many of us have been there, and you see it. And you're right, the hangover must have been terrible.
Yeah, I know, Judge. Yeah, I definitely have been there, done that. Bought the T-shirt, threw up on it. So, to our furry friends out there, moderation is key, folks. If you want nature, you want a balance of nature, which is fine. And sometimes you want a little Christmas or holiday cheer, which is good too. Just be careful, or otherwise, here's your cautionary tale right there. See, that's
the cautionary ringtail.
That's the cautionary ringtail of the French toast. All right. So 'tis the holidays, Lainey P. So we're going to be back next week, right? Are we coming back next week for new? It's going to be Christmas Eve when we'll be back. But on Tuesday night, I haven't made up anything yet, so I got to build that this week. It is the 4th, maybe 5th. I can't count. Our Festivus Festival.
All right.
On Extra Bulla is going to be happening, and so you're invited, as well as some other crazy characters, to come in, air your grievances. There will be feats of strength this year, so you'll have to. I think you're ready. You're already you got the hustle, see my muscle thing going on there. Me, I have table muscles. So, and they're delicious table muscles for one and all. So that's going to be Tuesday night. That's the 23rd. That's Festivus. And should be a good time. Just hang out and, just air your grievances and get stuff off your chest and just have a good time doing it. So that should be fun. So me personally, except for this show, am on a holiday hiatus with my show. So Morning Extra and The Secret Show will be back in January. But like I said, we'll have the Festivus show. I may do an Extra Bulla live on Christmas Day, just kind of like a hangout. Everybody come in and, we just chat about, all the Christmas orphans or people who don't do Christmas or whatever. We can all hang out and have a good time. And of course, New Year's Eve, be doing something New Year's Eve too. So holiday fun on the way. The regular stuff's just taking a break, but we're gonna supplement that with the holiday stuff, and of course the Undercurrent next week with myself and Lainey P in the house. So it should be a good time.
I'm planning to be on both New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. I'm planning to do it and all that. I do want to again thank everybody for showing up today. I'm sorry about the audio glitch with the interview with Bill Tilford. Bill, again, thank you so much for doing that. We'll get that up and premiered, but it'll be premiered on the Undercurrent channel on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to the Undercurrent channel, please go ahead and do that. You can do that through our link tree if you don't know where that is. But we'd appreciate it if you could do that. That would help us out a lot. Also, please give our guest Mike some love as well. He was on today. You can go to our show notes on Substack and you can subscribe to his social media. That was a great guest.
Yeah.
We've had 2 great guests in a row.
And he's very authentic, very sincere. I appreciated talking radio with him too. I know he's kind of a newbie to it,
and that's
which
what
is
I love
great.
about it. He's a guy. He's had his career, and he decides at this point, hey, I want to do something different, and he does it. And he does it in indie media, and I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. Go out and chase your dreams. If you got a dream, go chase it. I mean, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? I mean, you're just going to keep doing the same thing you're doing, stay in the ruts that you're in, or you want to break out and do something meaningful for yourself and for other people too.
Which is what we're doing, Uncle Warren.
That's right. That's why we're here. What do you got going on for the holidays? You got anything fun?
Family. Yeah, gonna be doing family stuff, and some of the got my brothers and sisters down here and their kids. My parents are down here, so it'll be a good time. Just doing some casual stuff. No huge plans.
I'm growing this beard out, so by the time next week comes around, I'll actually look like Santa Claus and not crackhead Santa Claus. But we're dealt the cards we're given, right? So we'll be back next week for that for the next episode of The Undercurrent. I'll be back on Tuesday for Festivus, and then Christmas Day or Christmas evening we'll have a little extra bowl of live Christmas fun with the kids. Should be a good time. Anything else you want to say to the folks before we get the hell out of here?
Thank you all so much for all of you showing up for us week after week. This has been a fantastic. We've been doing this going on 3 months now, Uncle Warren. Began in October. And we've had incredible support. We're looking forward to really expanding the show in 2026. And it's because of you guys that we're able to do it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And we enjoy bringing this information to you. I mean, we may not actually enjoy the stories that we're bringing to you themselves, obviously, but we do enjoy giving you information, news you can use, and hopefully it'll make your life better, or at least it make you more aware of what's going on around you. So thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody. We will see you here next week. Peace.